Hi everyone, welcome to another live stream. Sorry, my screen just went tiny on me. One moment. Hey, back again. Sorry about that. Today we have sound, which is always a great start as well. But thank you all so much for joining us again today as part of Stitch Fest. Now, yesterday we did a live webinar with our friends from Embroidery Library. It was tons of fun, and we went through lots of really great things about how to go from like initial concept design all the way through to digitizing. So I know there were some technical difficulties. So what we have done is that video is now available for you. The team's going to drop a landing page web link there in for you, so you can go there and watch it. Now, if you want the free design, make sure you go there directly after you've watched today's live stream, because you've probably only got about 24 hours before that free design time period runs out. But watch us first, don't run away on us. So be sure to hang out with us here, then go and follow that link. Make sure you watch that video. It was so much fun, and you'll get a free design. So that's our first piece of housekeeping. So thank you all for doing that. Our second thing is, don't forget, it is Black Friday sale time. So there is tons of great specials on with Hatch, no matter if you're a brand new beginner or if you've been using Hatch for a while. There's lots of specials that include the gems and the font packs and the KDCs. So there literally is something for everyone. So if you're looking to expand your embroidery knowledge, whether it's starting off or keep on going, definitely go have a look at all of those Black Friday sales and take advantage. It is the biggest sale of the year, so it's the most amount of savings you will get throughout the entire year, and that's happening right now. So be sure that you actually do all of that, because I don't want anyone to come back like after the sale and be like, oh, I'm also sad, I missed out. So don't miss out, go grab it now. So yeah, lots of great things happening. Stitch Fest is continuing. There's lots of great things coming up, more freebies, more blog posts, more things happening with that. So also keep an eye on Stitch Fest. You can go to the webpage each day and check out and see what's coming up and remind yourself what's coming. So be sure to do that, because it is still happening and there's lots of great things coming. Today I have a very special guest, which I am very excited about. So I'm just going to move across and bring in Maria. So this is Maria. Maria is a great friend of mine. We have known each other for ages now.
Ages.
But Maria is also super well known in the world of sewing. So I think I met you first at a blogging event.
I think that was right. Yeah, years ago.
Yeah. So Maria has been blogging and is big on Instagram. So she is there. So your handles, which we will drop all the links in the chat there for you.
Yes.
So, but yeah, there's links there for you as well. Just if you can explain your links, so where people can find you. I'm just going to restart my chat because I can't actually see everyone yet.
We need to say hi to everyone who's here too.
Yeah. So I'm just doing that. So sorry, I can't actually see my chat. 1 second.
1 second.
We're getting there.
Here comes the chat.
Let's hope it's all pulling in. If the chat's not working, I'm sure you are all there, so that is great. It's popped up for me, so hopefully that is coming through.
That's great.
So thanks so much for that. So like I was saying, Maria is big with blogging and on Instagram, and we've got some people coming through from a very cold and windy Illinois. That does sound cold and windy. I hope you're fine. It's actually summertime here in Sydney, so it is actually getting quite warm on the walk to work. Oh, hey, Gail. Gail's a regular. She's in from South Australia. I bet it is hot over there. I think you're looking for a long, hot summer over there, Gail. So Maria, we can find her on Instagram under Velosews.
Velosews on Instagram. My website blog is also Velosews. On YouTube, it's Velosews. I try and make sure it's the same thing. And then?
Yep, so you've got lots of different places, but what you may be thinking is, I recognise this voice. Maria is actually the voice, brain, and complete CEO behind the So Organised Style podcast.
That's right.
So for anyone who doesn't know your podcast, what's it all about?
So the So Organised Style podcast features people who sew. So not businesses, but people like you and I. And they tell us their story about how they started sewing, whether it was when they were growing up or a lot of people started sewing during COVID. So
That's true.
Yep.
It was a big time for lots of people. Lots of people started embroidery during that time. I think a lot of people dusted off their machines and were like, hey, what can I do with this? So I think that's been really great that there's lots of things. And the podcast goes out, is it weekly still?
Yeah, weekly on a Tuesday in Australia time. And at the moment, I'm doing the top 20 countdown. So the podcast has been going since 2019.
Wow, so long.
So long. So then there's 2.3 million downloads, and the people who are in the top 20 have had at least 14,000 downloads since they started. Yeah, so that's the podcast.
Yeah, lots of great things. The other place you can find Maria is, so if you're a garment sewer, you may have heard of this. If you're not a garment sewer, it might be something you're interested in. There's this kind of worldwide phenomenon called frock tails, and it basically means you get to make a fancy outfit, doesn't have to be a frock, and go out and have some partying time with some sewing people. It's a really great way to get out and meet people, and if you're maybe a little bit of an introvert, you can always talk sewing. So that's a great thing. But you have a whole Instagram that dedicated to that.
So what I found earlier this year, that there were some frock tale events that were happening and people would find out about them after the event. So I created an Instagram account called Everything Frock Tales, and there are over 45 frock tales events globally that I know of. So there are obviously ones that I don't know of. And at the moment, I'm putting up the ones that are happening that I know of in 2025. So if that's something that you're interested in, there's one in every country that I can find. So
yeah. So what you could do is you could embroider a fabulous garment and head on across and talk all things embroidery as well, because that would be super fun. So I can see we've got people coming in from Texas and from Atlanta and from Washington. So lots of people from all over the world again. Oh, Margriet's back from the Netherlands. Thanks so much for joining us all. It's so wonderful to see everyone coming in from around the world. So in case you weren't thinking that Maria was doing enough things besides all of her own sewing as well, she also helps. I was going to say edit, but I'm not sure if that's the right word. So you're with the social crew for the Sew Over 50 crowd.
Yeah. So the Sew Over 50 crowd started in 2018, and it was from Judith Staley in Edinburgh, and Sandy Back is her senior editor. And the whole aim is to raise the visibility of older sewers in social media. They now have about 53,000 followers. And they're making an impact on indie patterns and making sure that people who are over the age of 50 at least get some visibility on social media.
Yeah, so if you're one of those people, and I find this all the time, that sometimes people are like, hey, I want to make that garment, but that person doesn't look like me for whatever reason. If you want to go see a wider diversity of people's, head over to the Sew Over 50 crowd. They are so diverse and inclusive, and it's a really wonderful way to see how garments may look in your size. Yep. So one of the things that we've got Maria in for today is we're going to talk about how embroidery can work on garments, because quite often when we show things, we're showing them for lots of homewares or lots of beautiful things like we have in our displays happening here. So today we're going to talk about garments. So what we'll normally do is, if you're a garment sewer, it's really wonderful because we're working with panels. If you're buying pre-made garments, you can also do embroidery on those as well. So it's kind of like not the next thing, but something else you can embroider. And if you're anything like me, you're going to be adding extra things. And so Linda's just popped up in the chat, and she's been saying she's been sewing for 60 years, and she's been doing jeans with embroidered back pockets. Oh my gosh, I totally want to see that. Linda, if you are on the Facebook group, can you please put a photo of that on the Facebook group? Because I would love to see that. I love sewing denim so much, and to see embroidery on it. I remember going to Japan in the early 90s and just seeing wildly embroidered things, and I was just like, I want that, and nothing fitted. But, I still want it, so one day I'm going to do that. So thanks so much, Linda. That's super inspiring for that. So Maria has actually worn a garment that we're going to look at one of the panel pieces for it. So it's this yoke part here. So for anyone who doesn't know what a yoke is, it's basically this section. Yeah, so Maria's is a continuous yoke, so it goes from the front to the back. Oh, that's a great idea, Jenny. Jenny's saying that she gets stuff from the thrift stores and upcycles it. That is such a great way to do it, because it's also kind of low-key. You're not too worried about if something goes wrong as well. So that's a really great way.
And if you don't sew your own clothes, if you buy a thrifted garment and you're only embroidering on one part, you don't have to worry about knowing how to sew the garment. You can just do the embroidery.
Just do the embroidery bit, which is really great. And like all of the information you will find, if you haven't thought about doing embroidery on garments, that beginner's guide to embroidery and those first few steps that you get in the Hatch Academy, those are all going to talk you through all of the things like backings and hooping and all that kind of stuff. So if you're like, I don't know where to start there. That's your good place.
Yeah.
So Maria has actually cut out a panel because she's going to make a replica of this top, and she has got a little design that we are going to stitch out. So I'm going to show that in a little second. So you've just been on a big holiday, and I was very jealous seeing all of your beautiful photos. But you came across like some olive designs that you thought were really inspiring, and so you've gone with an olive kind of theme for today?
Yeah, I've gone with an olive theme. It seems that we visit, okay, so my background is my parents were from Cyprus and they came out here in the 50s. So when you go to Cyprus, whether you're visiting or if you're a local, they've been using olive designs on household goods like towels, aprons, on anything. And I just thought that that was such a really good design, whether you just do a line out, or whether you do a fully coloured design. So I thought I would really love to use that on something for myself. I did buy a towel and an apron with it on, but I thought I want something that I've made, and Susan was really happy to help me out. So that's what I thought.
And I find that all the time. Whenever you're traveling or you're out and about, it's such a great way to get inspiration, because sometimes, yes, you'll definitely see a garment and you're like, I kind of want to copy that for myself. But sometimes you'll see something completely random and be like, that's a really beautiful design, and how are you going to import it to make it embroider? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a little bit about how we took the design and we took it into Hatch, and we're going to do a little bit of a demo on that. So sorry, I just have to lean across the screen a little bit. So
there we go.
I know it's very exciting. Maria hasn't actually seen this bit, so this is kind of fun. So here I am actually inserting the design into Hatch. So I'm just importing in the artwork, and so it's a line work piece, and so I'm starting to have a look at my digitizing tools over on the left docker. Sorry, I just had to figure out what's my left and right there. And I'm just going through and having a look at all of my digitizing tools there. And at this stage, I'm always just trying to decide what is appropriate to that actual design, because with a line work, it's whether how light I want it to be. And because I knew the end result, like I knew what Maria wanted to put it on, I didn't want anything too heavy, because heaviness can drag garments down. So even on my own garment here today, I'm wearing, which way am I going? Cross-stitch ones. So the cross-stitch is fantastic because it's kind of lightweight. If you're going to do heavier weight stitching, you need to match it to heavier weight fabric. So if you're a garment sewer, that probably makes a ton more sense. Sorry for everyone else. So we've inserted in our artwork, and then I did some digitizing, and now I can show you the next step. So here I am, I have digitized it up a little bit, and I'm just going to do the virtual run through. So up the top here on your Hatch, you can actually see where you can turn the artwork off, and you can turn your stitches on and off. I find this tool very useful in visualizing what my stitches are actually going to look like, and I absolutely love the player tool because it will show me how it's actually going to run out on the machine. So I really like that. Here on this design, I'm not actually loving some of my line work. I think I could get it a bit cleaner and a bit nicer there. So I'm not super happy with my line work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean up my line work. So here I've gone right in, so it's sort of a huge kind of picture. And here I am using the reshaping tools, and I'm actually pulling my stitches back in. So when you use your mouse and touch on the reshape tools, your line work turns back into its nodules. And what I'm doing here is I'm pulling them into line, and you can see instead of looking kind of fat and messy, they're actually pulling back together so that the line work sits one on top of each other. So wherever possible with my line work on this design, I tried to make it so that it ran as long as possible before I actually had to do a cut. Not only because it looks better in the visual of the design, but also sometimes it's a great way to make some like stems and things like that look a little bit thicker, just through a little bit extra line work there too. So we're going to be stitching on a kind of light-ish weight like fabric linen. So I wanted to make sure that the stitches were nicely lined up and didn't move too much, because linen is a little bit more open weave. So I just wanted to make sure that that was super clean in there. And as you can see here with the sorry, I keep getting the tool name wrong. The reshape tool. I keep going to go the retool and I have no idea. My brain's just stuck today. I'm sorry about that. So with the reshape tool, you can just see it's a very quick little process just to go back in and clean things up. And I got to say, as a garment sewer, I would really love to be able to just move my stitches around like I can on screen with Hatch, but that is definitely an embroidery specific thing happening in there. And there's lots of hints and tips for all of these things. If you want more of this kind of sketchy, hand-drawn line work type of designs, it's totally doable in Hatch. You'll be looking at the freehand tool. You can just sketch it out using the open digitize tool, as I have done here. Lots of that stuff is all going to be in the Hatch Academy. And remember, you get the Hatch Academy free when you have Digitizer 3. So do make sure that if you are in that level, you are actually using the Academy, because it's such a great way to learn. So as you can see, I kind of took my time here, making sure I had everything nice and clean to ensure that the design looks as nice as possible when it's going to stitch out. And then I'm looking pretty happy about things here, so I'm starting to save and export. Now, when I save my designs and I'm working in Hatch, I always save as an EMB file before I save as my machine type file. This means that when I bring it back in, if I need to edit, it means we could do a tiny one. It means if I bring it back in as an EMB file, I can blow it up huge. We can add underlay stitches. We can do a whole bunch of things with it. If I just save it as the file format of my machine, I don't have that huge range of editing capabilities still built in. So save as an EMB, export as your file type. So that's a huge tip there. So once we got all of it all cleaned up, so Maria actually has the little stitch out samples. I think you might have to go across. Yeah.
Closer.
Or maybe we might stop. So we did one in an olive colour and a black, which, you know, clearly not the best colour contrast there.
And it was in the green that we were looking at. So
yeah.
a bit better.
Better? Yeah, so that's looking better. So that was our first one, and we were like, okay, so we're going to play with colours and things. So our final is actually on a grey kind of colourway, and so we thought, well, maybe on a more mottled colour, we're going to go with a bigger contrast. So we did another stitch out in some other colour.
Well, here we go.
Yeah, that one's a bit easier to see. And see here, you can see where I was cleaning up. And so on these actual pieces, where it's looking thicker, that's just an extra line of line work going through. So what I might have done when I've digitized is I've gone up into the olive, come back down, gone around the olive, back down into the stem and off somewhere else. So thinking about how you're actually going to digitize like that is also helps plan it out. And sometimes I might digitize something out once and I'll be like, nah, that's not going to work. And so sometimes it takes it out. What you want to do is you want to do it a couple of different kind of ways to play that out. Now, I did actually record a video of it stitching out on the machine, and then the file recording got corrupted between going from my phone to my computer. So, you know, it's never a live stream without something going terribly wrong. So what we have, though, is we have the actual piece. I'm going to leave it in the hoop, and I'm going to explain why. So one sec, I'm just going to take it out of the machine. It looks really good. So, trying to not hit Maria in the face. Which way am I going? This way.
There you go.
So here it is, and it's still in the hoop.
That's it.
And it's all stitched out and it's looking great. Now, if I come back a little bit, and I'm still going to hold it up, what you can actually see is this is the whole panel piece here. So over on this side, if you're very eagle-eyed, you can see we have some more pins. Our plan is to actually repeat this on the other side, and we're going to mirror it. So it means we can actually work it in. So only because Maria came in this morning and we didn't have time to catch up before the live stream. If I'm being super tricky and I want to line up something very precisely, in Hatch, what I actually do is I bring in the outline of the garment. So I actually bring in the pattern piece, and what I will do is on my backing, I will run a run stitch line along the edge and across. So along the edge and across, and I'll actually mark where my corner is. Once I've got my corner in position, I will then lay my fabric down into that position. So it means that if I'm trying to mirror things, one on either side, I just mirror the entire design perfectly lined up. And it's such an easy thing to do in Hatch by just bringing in your actual pattern piece. My top tip for when you're bringing in the pattern piece is when you photograph the pattern piece, in order to bring it in if you don't have it digitally, photograph it with your ruler across it. And what you'll find is you can then use the scale tool in Hatch to bring it up to the right size. Then you know you've got the perfect size, trace the corner that you need, put your digitizing in the right spot, you're ready to export. So it's a great way to do it, and I would have done that, but you know, we don't always have time to catch up with our friends as much as we want to. So that's the first part of Maria's design. We are going to be doing the second part. So today was your first time seeing embroidery stitched out, potentially?
I've never seen it in action. I've never seen it other than when I'm purchasing a product. So this has been all new to me. It's been great.
Yeah, so there's been lots of different things that we were showing Maria. So we did stitch it out on our 10 needle machine, which is lovely and blocked by our Stitch Fest logo. It does look very festive with the Stitch Fest logo, which is fun. And what we were doing with the 10 needle is I was also showing you how we can do incremental repositioning. And I know that Maria took a video, so that might turn up on her socials as well if you wanted to see how we actually did that. Again, if I wasn't doing it by eye, I would do it the way I explained in Hatch by adding in that panel line. So I've actually got a second one to show you as well as a different type of stitch out. So this one I was stitching out during the week. So this is, again, a garment panel piece. Oops, armhole, wrong way around. Which way am I going? Yep. So, yeah, so it's the other way out. What you can see at the moment is sometimes when we stitch things out, people are like, this doesn't look so good. What you can see is there is a bit of puckering around the edge of my design there. By the way, if you want this actual embroidery design, it is available inside Hatch 3. It's one of our specials that we did with Embroidery Library for the release of Hatch 3.1, I want to say, but I might have that number wrong, so I'm sorry if I do. But in the new release, which came out in July, this one was included in it. I have done it in a variegated thread. So if you're getting a little bit of puckering along here, what mine actually is I haven't taken all my backing away yet. So here I have a very lightweight poplin, and what I was going to do is I was going to take away all of this backing, and once I do that, it will actually be able to come and release. So that's all fine, and that will actually release itself back out again. One thing I did do on this one, and this is a cool thing you can do if you're a garment sewer, this actually has a dart in it. So I don't know if you can even see the stitch line. Where am I going? It actually has a dart. You can see it on the back. So there's an actual dart stitched in there. I did my body dart, then flattened it out onto the garment, out onto the hoop, sorry, as I was stitching out. But I didn't also do my bust dart. So if you do it when it's as flat as possible, you will get better stitching out results. I find that if you put in too many darts, it's too rounded, the garment's starting to take on the shape of a body, and it's not going to work out that well for you. So the flatter your panels are, the earlier you can stitch them in, the better it is. The other great thing about that is if you're just doing it on a panel, if something goes wrong, you can recut the panel. So it kind of takes the drama of it not working out for you. It takes that away because it's just a panel at this stage. It's not a whole garment. So that's a great thing too. All right. So Maria, after we are finished having a chat to all of our lovely guests here, we're going to stitch out the other side, and then you're going to make it up into a garment.
Yep, so it'll be the same design as this.
Yep.
And the design will be here and there.
Nice. Yeah, it's going to be great.
Yeah, it looked good.
And
It'd be a great memory.
It'll be a great memory of
Yeah.
your holiday trip, which, as I said, looked fantastic. So some people are asking some questions in the chat, and please ask as many sewing, embroidery-related questions as you can, because we are definitely here to help. So St. James is asking, did we starch out the fabric first? No, I didn't.
No.
So Maria's linen, if I can show the linen fabric without taking out the hoop, is nice and floppy. I wanted to retain that because once we put it onto the garment and then we wear the garment, we don't want the garment to take on the stiffness. So what we're going to do is we're going to use different backings in there. So on Maria's, I have used a cutaway backing because it'll keep that little bit more stability in there. And also because linen is a little bit more open weave, I didn't want the embroidery stitches over time and washing and wearing to cause any weakness in there. So that cutaway backing is going to be a better result for that. My green one, which I just showed, super high density poplin. That fabric's not going anywhere. So on that one, I used a tearaway because it reflects the fabric more. So what you want to try and think about is how you want it to look, how stiff you want your garment to look, the end result, what type of fabric you're using, plus the longevity of your actual garment. So if you're someone like me and Maria who does tons of sewing, but we want our garments to be washed and worn and they're going to go through the wash and hung out in our crazy Australian heat on the clothesline, you want to think about those kinds of things. So you can always match your backing to your fabric types and your end goal. So there's lots more information about backings and things on the Academy. If that's something you want to know more about, do let us know. We're always looking for more ideas for extra live streams. So if there's anything that you're like, I super want to know about this, drop it in the chat. And yeah, already there's things in the chat that have come up in other live streams, which are now on my list of things to do as a live. So you might get lucky and yours might get chosen. Okay, do we have any other questions? Oh, Linda's saying she can't get a photo into the chat comments. That's okay, Linda. Are you part of the Facebook group? Can you add it into just the standard standalone one? Because I don't know about the live. It might be making you not being able to add a photo, but in the standard one, you could definitely put a post in there and we could see that one. So that would be great because that would be super fun. And so while you're in the chat there, the team has been adding in extra details for you as well. Don't forget, if you wanted extra things about Black Friday sales or any of the extra things that are happening with Stitch Fest, all of those are in the chat as well. So someone did ask me last week, they were like, oh, I went just after the live stream and I wanted to see the chat on YouTube. YouTube takes about 3 hours to process out all of the chat comments and make them available again. There's nothing we can do about that. That's a whole YouTube thing. So maybe have a little break, go do some stitching, and then, actually you could go watch the webinar. Go watch the webinar. Then after you've watched the webinar, come on back and then YouTube will be ready for you. So if you ever get stuck, head on back and you can actually read all of the chat. It just takes a little bit of time. If you go to the Facebook page, the information is there pretty much straight away. So it just depends, where you're kind of going for it. All right, we're almost out of time. Did you have any other questions, Maria?
When can we do more?
I love that. That's always the thing. Whenever people start with embroidery, they always want to do more. So that's always lots of things coming up. Some people are just saying they can't see all of the other posts. Yes, that is why you can't always see all of the other posts, because the stream I am reading here is showing the chat coming in from all of the channels. So sometimes if I'm answering questions, you can't see it. They might be on YouTube, you might be on Facebook, or vice versa. So that might also happen. All right, we might say goodbye. Don't forget to go check out the Black Friday sales. Go watch the webinar and get your free design. You've only got 24 more hours to get that free design from Embroidery Library, and it's super cute, so you don't want to miss out on that. Thank you so much for coming along and talking embroidery things with us and all things garment sewing. Maria and I are going to go back to stitching out the rest of her garment, and we'll chat to you all again soon. Thanks so much for coming along. Thanks, everyone.